coming up today. I'm NVNYC here, joined by Slav, and why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about the first match that we are seeing right now?
Well, the first match, I feel like it's a match that has a lot of high stakes to it, because it is of that first group. It is between Handless Dogs and No Panic Button. And how the bracket has ended up this far, this is likely going to be the match that is going to be already deciding who the second team is that makes it out of this group. And with a high-stakes match, you obviously need some high-stake gameplay as well. And I feel like if you're looking at an Awakening start like Hotshot and Super Surge on Taiko Temple, you're in for quite a ride in this match.
I agree. Definitely a whole lot of action is going to be showing up today. We already have Nikki taking a kill for their side as well. Big power play right now for the side of Dog. See if they can get anything out of here, though. Actually, they end up losing a barrier in return, but grabbing one just right then and there. And we finally got our little Cero back to join us here. Got a nice firewall coming up here. Cero almost dead now. Okay, yeah, Zentaro, small health pool, is going to find themselves off the map maybe a little bit more often than they want to here. Part of Zentaro's drawbacks here, just being really explosive, but having a really low health pool. They're going to drop a barrier here to Eternal Arctic's. Really a great barrage, almost a perfect angle off the jump in the middle to grab that barrier, grab that goal, but not just yet. A power play, though, once again for the side of Dog, and this is what they need to finish off the first point here.
Most definitely, they are going to run up. They fail to actually take the barrier here, though. As they still do have a flip on Flambeau, not opting to use it just yet. As the respawn has come through, flip needs to be used defensively, but it's well defended from the Juno goalie here, in essence, with the cake sponsorship. Obviously, have to show a little bit of the Juno gameplay as well. But obviously, with the hotshot combination, it's going to be really great, and that's why it's really great, as you see the Blobos just completely taking over that attack. The goal just going right in.
Absolutely. Really difficult to stop that one. Of course, Hotshot Juno is one of the combinations of all time showing up in this game. Yeah, definitely reminiscent of Cakes just being the Juno main that we all know and love. And we'll see if Andy can do what they do best. We know Andy to be mostly a Luna main, eject button main deck gamer, but no eject button allowed in this tournament at all. Sonii hates it. Sonii hates eject button. None of that allowed. So you are not allowed to pick that. That's basically the only rule in this tournament. As we continue on this point here, one barrier down on no NBD. It's going to be two barriers down here. Dog has their chance to score this, get their point here, and they do. Nice evening this one here. Nikki helping putting that one in. Good job there for Dog.
Yeah, more significantly as well, the energy advantage is now in Dog's hands. So if they play their cards right, even though the flip is on Weston in the net, that energy can snowball into maybe a potential other goal. But the attack is immediately being led by No Panic Button. Again, they do take the first barrier, try to get the second one, as Zentaro again is just struggling with the HP department, right? And that's just going to be a reoccurring pattern, even though there is a Super Surge start. If you're going up against a Super Surge, Amy, and an X on the opposing team, as a Centaur, you're just going to be squishy, you're just going to be taking a lot of damage. So, very important that you find these barriers like this, and an even better run-up actually for an Arctic here to just secure the second goal for the side of No Panic Button. But I do feel like the Centauro might struggle in later points of this game.
Yeah, I do agree. We don't have any now on this team to help a little bit with the heals. The opposing team has the Atlas, which is going to do a great job of stuffing Zentaro in general and also keeping their team alive too. So, even though Zentaro is quite good at dealing damage and getting around, well, he's going to have a lot to deal with here when X gets a little bit of scaling, too. I mean, even X Super Surge is also quite strong, grabbing that kill right off the bat. Only one barrier down for the side of Dog, and they're working on to getting some of these as well here. We got a flip from Andy, but not too much going on there. Hits the drum at kind of an awkward angle and gets stuffed as well. Flambeau trying to break the ball out of here right past Eternal Arctic here. Maybe they can get a flip from him. They do, but they lose the barrier instead. Okay, almost lost the open goal there, but to keep themselves alive, Zentaro did get in there, though, with that Oni Blade, grabbing a kill for their side, only losing one barrier in return. They now have a little bit more control here to see if they can bring this one, actually grab the first set of the game, which would be pretty huge. Could result in Zentaro getting an even stronger awakening, or maybe even worse, Juno getting a stronger awakening.
Yeah, most definitely, and especially in a game like this that has a lot of speed, a lot of damage potentially as well, winning that first set is so valuable, right? But as it stands right now, Dog is really holding on quite well, not giving any free kind of space. It is difficult to really get an attack going from their side because they do have the X that doesn't need to scale to get a lot of his value out, and the Juno just does such a good job at holding a defensive line pretty far up the field as well with those blobs. But it wasn't quite enough, as a single barrier, the second barrier has dropped on the side of No Panic Button now. And now Dog looking to try to find this goal to even out this set.
Yep, really close here. They almost had a nice kill on Nikki, but they do stay alive just for now and finds the squish right between Eternal Arctic and Andy to grab the second point of the set, evening this one up. Really close there. Sero and Nikki were both in dire straits, but they did hold on, especially with the Atlas on their team. I mean, we do see Atlas and Juno here, pretty common bans as far as this meta been going, but now they're both live in this game. We actually did see Rune and Rasmus banned, which is pretty interesting, actually. Rune has picked up a little bit of momentum as far as like this last Nassel end season has gone, but, you know, understandable ban with this hot shot as well. Only one barrier goes down there for Dog. They're working on pushing it onto the top side, though. Nikki looking a little bit weak, but yeah, there's that Atlas. You know, we're doing a lot of damage, but Atlas just giving you a second life is somehow just such a big deal. And the Expanse doing a great job of stuffing Zentaro, but actually going to whiff in that situation. Sarah and Eternal Arctic going to combination grab that one. A perfect flip approach from Eternal Arctic is going to land them that first awakening of this game. And we'll see who it goes on to here. Yeah, Juno, one of the better characters to get the awakening.
Most definitely. Looking at the draft that we do have, we have a lot of high-value awakenings again, right? You have just base speed, which is still very strong right here, a fight or flight or a peak performance, which is going to be really good for basically anyone to be picking up here. And the fight or flight does get picked up by the Drulo. Missile prop, not an awakening to be underestimated, though, as Atlas now has a lot more range to really deal with attacks and can interrupt it so much more earlier as well. Other than that, though, pretty standard, I think, picks. You get more speed for the Kai. Sparks are going to be started on the Amy pick, and then just raw size for both of the forwards. Feel like everyone's kind of walking away pretty happy here.
I do agree. I think a minor catastrophe for Sero to actually be last in that draft. We did see the second pick, or I guess the third pick in the draft, the second pick for their team getting peak performance. I'm sure Zentaro might have had their eye on something like peak performance to keep themselves just a little bit more healthy in the game and just to be able to contest X in a lot more of these situations. Only one barrier down, though, for No Panic Button, though. Sero looking a little bit weak as usual again. Probably going to switch roles for just a moment here. Going to play a little bit of goalie, grab an orb, which is completely acceptable in that situation. Gets unstaggered at a good time. Doesn't end up dying to that bell ringer, though, but having a tough time getting a push here, though. Andy almost sacrifices the barrier, but keeps himself alive there. They maybe work on... I mean, they'd have to do a lot of coordination here to kill, you know, X in this situation with that Atlas. But it's going to be a great flip from Flambeau from the top side, though. Winning a strike for Sero is going to possibly result in this barrier. Yes, it does. A good flip of kind of an awkward angle. Really great pass to Eternal Arctic, but they just didn't have an angle either to grab that goal. And it's just going to be overtime rolling in as they're going to continue this point here on open barrier, or open goals.
Taco Temple just really bringing the speed. Those bounces actually, as I'm talking about it, stops the core, funnily enough. A nice flip, though, from Nikki will secure this goal and give a point lead to Dogs. As you can just kind of see the game flow. Even though that Dogs found the first goal here, quite often it is the side of No Panic Button that's attacking him. And it's just so difficult for Dogs to really get this core onto the opposition side with the Atlas. Even with Missile Prop, obviously, has a little bit of range, but not a lot to be using with the X being a more immobile character, not having a lot themselves either. So it's just really punishing if anyone mispositions slightly, because the core will just then go back to the defense. And even though Atlas can hold on to the defense extremely well, there's just usually a limit to when even an Atlas will crack.
Yeah, true. Expanse does have quite a long cooldown as well, and that's certainly going to be the best defensive move that they'll have on that character. Open goal here for the side of No Panic Button, though. It's going to be a difficult situation. Weston maybe looking up to make a play here with this flip, but okay with just this missile prop situation. Actually, we have missile prop hotshot Atlas. It's a really good set already for Weston. Only one of these sets, a set of awakenings for one set in of the game. Going to get Zentaro to get an Oni Blade here, though. A flip is going to completely deny the Oni Blade and actually go straight in, literal strike if we're playing bowling here, right in the center. And that's going to be a perfect goal there from Weston.
Weston found the demon angle, and I feel like the side of No Panic Button also got a little bit confused by Nikki just letting that run, right? Because you're not really ever expecting that to just go through that way, but hey, sometimes it does, and sometimes you get the value. And talking about value, we get a more X value as well, as Nikki again finds a KO on the Zentaro power play in favor for Dogs now.
Yeah, I like Eternal Arctic coming back here, playing a little second goalie action, because it's really easy to get doubled, as I was going to say here on this map sometimes. Nikki getting a little too close, and a godlike angle off the drum from Flambeau is going to make a corner pocket shot on the bottom side off the corner of that center drum there, and that's going to land them, I mean, a well-deserved set there. I mean, that was exactly what you needed.
Most definitely. That was a crazy angle to be found, but we do have a few awakenings here to be considered. We do have the Stagger Swagger, which has to be picked away from the Zentaro. Otherwise, the KOing is just going to slow down. Zentaro is going to answer with a Spark Deny to make sure that Amy isn't going to start stacking those sparks too fast, but a 1-2 punch definitely something that an Amy is going to be happy with as well here.
Yeah, really good awakenings here, especially even the last 3 awakenings for Kai, also quite solid. Cast Last Titans would have been also completely acceptable. You have some pretty solid awakenings. You know, I understand Sarah staying away from that stacks on stacks as well. Pretty good, but if you're not dying, which Sarah is having a tough time doing right now, though, so I really do like not picking stacks there, as they're already a little under half health, though. We're all going to stand on the orb and get it, and Flambo's going to get another actually insanely good angle, reinforce it with the glitch pop, and he has no strike left. Oh, has no strike left, and it's going to be again, like really perfect pinpoint accuracy from the 2v1 of these two forwards on Dog, and I feel the pressure. I feel the pressure right here, especially with these 2 speed awakenings that they just picked up, might really help them get on that offensive side. Even with Flambeau getting 1-2 punch to just get the ball to the X even faster is like perfect situation for them.
Yeah, most definitely, but as it stands right now, the core is being kind of passed around in the middle. Both Arctic and Flambeau are looking for the definitive strike war win there to actually get something, as Flambeau does find the first barrier now in favor of Dog's. Amitur comes out to just keep the core away, but it does sneak its way through as Zero takes the first barrier. Has a flip on the Centauro as well. This might want to opt to look to use that for the barrier confirm, because without a flip, it's going to be difficult to get past an Atlas with this build. Matter of fact, Taro needs to use it defensively to just stay alive, as Nikki uses her ultimates to just get all of that damage out. And again, it's just Centauro. He's just a squishy character, and not a lot of survivability in the build as of right now. Definitely something that's going to continue to be difficult to deal with for Zero this game.
Yeah, I agreed with that one. I mean, his saving grace right now is certainly the spark of, not agility, the spark of resilience. Maybe it'll show up for them if they can take another set, get a little bit more experience here, get a score, get the MVP, or maybe even second pick or something to get a little bit closer to that. But they're working on this open goal right now. Flambeau's going to clear the board, halt the ball there for just a moment, and we're going to be a nice bell ringer there from Nikki again to grab that final barrier here. Weston defending, no problem. Nikki getting it back onto the front line. Zero, okay, get a nice redirect off of that slice and dice. Is going to schmix Weston up there, and that's going to be a great point for No Panic Button again. And honestly, I feel like clearly we have no eject button on this Juno, and I don't feel so bad about it. I feel like Andy's playing the positioning pretty damn well here, and it's not like, oh, no eject button, you know, you lost your barrier, you lost your thing here, so he's playing pretty well.
Yeah, it just forces you into a more defensive-minded position, right? And Andy's adjusting pretty well to it. Because with the eject button, you can run up, you can go for aggressive plays, but the moment you don't have that awakening, all those plays kind of get eliminated unless you're extremely proficient in your positioning. But there are still some downsides to the Juno pick, and you were able to see it right here, because Juno does not deal well with just straight force at your barrier. And if you have an X in front of you and an Amy right behind you, it's going to be so difficult to defend, as Dogs find another point and are now 1 goal away from taking their second set of this game.
Yeah, true. Juno not super great with dealing with like really close quarters combat. Like, she got a really good primary, but her ult, you know, takes a lot of time to come down to as well. So she's going to definitely suffer in those situations where eject button would help out. With Sarah only almost grabbing at that barrier as well. Eternal Arctic going to heal up a little bit after being in the fray. Andy collecting that barrier to keep that one alive there. Almost lost a strike board, but we're good here. Eternal Arctic holding strong and getting an orb, keeping themselves alive too. Nice. Giga Blast is going to interrupt anything Nikki was trying to set up there, though, but it seems that no Panic Button is having a hard time getting like a really good offensive push here. As they finally kind of get it to the other side. They have a lot of situation here with Nikki finally getting staggered with that flip. Zero is still kind of weak and dies straight up to that bull rush. Like that was like a quarter of his health, all from one move there, gets staggered and killed in one shot. Now Weston is going to get the ball back to his team. We actually have a flip there from Nikki trying to even get a kill maybe onto Eternal Arctic. So we're going to have a push onto the bottom side, though, into the hands of Flambeau, and actually they do end up getting out. Eternal Arctic might be the signs of killing at this point here, even if Zero does have a lower health pool. Eternal Arctic looking a little bit weak right now. But man, this has been slow here. Overtime has come across, but they do finally get the kill, and now is where the big situation comes here for Dog, and it can maybe get this next point.
Yeah, they're trying to get the attack going again, but that hotshot Juno just doing so much work. Nikki, though, finding a beautiful angle through the middle drum there to secure the second barrier, as now Eternal Arctic is back on the field, is going to hold the core a little bit, trying to not enable the side of Dogs for any really strong attack, and it's doing that successfully. But no, the mistime from Andy will actually let the core go through the goal there. The set goes to Dogs, and we're going into another Awakening draft. We're going into another snowball, potentially, as SSX is going to get first pick.
Yeah, I think Andy certainly expected a red ball there, but the spacing was just not what we thought it was for that bell ringer, which ended up being a really good mix-up for Nikki there and that team, Tog, to put that one in. Yeah, a couple of important Awakenings here. I mean, Perfect Form X is, like, pretty huge, lots of cooldowns. There goes the Spark of Resilience that we were really hoping that maybe Sero could get, possibly their last will. You know, extra special, not bad though, to give them a little bit more evades, a little bit more movement. That could end up working out in their favor though. It's like, that's it. That's all. It's like kind of feels like the last thing they could get in that draft anyway, to try to help with some more defensive Awakening for them.
Yeah, most definitely, and I feel like even considering the grand scheme of things, if they do find a win, which they're doing really well right now, even in a player deficit, by the way, both barriers down now, and both still being held onto as one drops, but even though the draft didn't go as well, even if you somehow find a miracle win into this last set, what Awakenings are there left for 0 in terms of survivability? You have Peak Performance out, you have Stagger Swagger out, you had to take extra special here, which is already like questionable on the survivability regard. It's gonna help you a bit, but it's not gonna keep you alive as much as you need it to, so options are running thin.
That's facts. I can only really think of like Big Fish is maybe like the last Stagger Awakening that could help, but you are a little bigger, easier to hit, so again, straight up really questionable. But look at all this pressure here from No Panic Button. Of course, as I say that, my goodness, I say great pressure, and not only do they end up losing the ball, they lose the barrier. Kind of an unfortunate situation. That's just how it is when you're a caster here. But Sero's going to get another enigmatic redirect there with that rush. That was good. That was like one of the only angles I think that really gets past Weston there. And I mean, I didn't see it coming.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to see that one come. It went off of the drum into immediate red core as well. It's just really difficult on something like an Atlas that's just so stationary. And it just found the angle through, and that's a high-value goal, right? Because you need to find 2 more of these to force a set 5, and the side of No Panic Button definitely looking to get as many of these goals as possible, as now the Dogs are back on the attack, though. Trying to get the second barrier off of Andy. Andy holding strong as it stands right now, though. Arctic also trying to do so much work in the midfield, right? Trying to utilize this Kai to maximum efficiency, making use of that speed, making use of that nuisance that barrage is. But it's not quite enough, as the barrier actually now does drop on the side of No Panic Button. They try to get an attack going. Weston is able to defend it in a way where only 1 barrier goes down instead of 2. As now again, we're kind of shimmying around in the midfield. Andy has a flip defensively if he does need to use it. Meanwhile, Arctic also getting rather low. Needs to be careful to not get taken off the map here.
Yeah, really great flip angle there from Sero. We saw Andy moving up to try to make another play happen. There's going to be flip. Oh, he doesn't get the flip. That was the ball. Okay, admittedly, the ball went outrageously fast there from that bell ringer. Kind of a surprise to see the ball fly there. And again, really a demon angle too. So not really expecting such a situation to happen there, though, is going to result in a goal for Dog. But moving on to this next point here, only 1 barrier down here for No Panic Button there, and a nice double comes out from No Panic Button as well, though Andy might move up and try to make a flip happen, but he doesn't have an eject button there, so it's going to be a little bit high risk. They can get the ball over to Sero, but he's looking a little bit weak here, though. It's only been mostly crossfire, I feel like, on Sero, and he's already at half. It's a tough situation. Nikki can just get a little bit closer to this barrier and get a flip, but Andy's going to flip it away. Sero finally has a little bit of possession here, though. Jumps in with the only blade, can't make it happen. Nikki's going to get a nice redirect to keep that ball speed, grab the barrier as well. Arctic is trying as hard as they can with this barrage to get it onto the front side and try to get that into the hands of Sero. And now they're again on a little bit of defensive situation here with this firewall. Sentry's going to put up a lot of pressure as well with the projectile Atlas too. A lot of extra range on this Astral Projection is going to oh yeah, Flambeau. Okay, finding that Cyber Swipe is going to make this even harder for No Panic Button.
Yeah, power play in favor of the dogs right now, but the Andy's doing such a good job at making use of this Juno, just being such a nuisance with these slimes, with that hotshot, making it difficult for the side of dogs to actually control the core, get an attack going, but the flip does come out in the end from Mr. Flambeau as he just gets it to secure themselves a second goal of the set. They need one more to secure themselves a second win in this round. And if everything goes well for them, that might already be, barring any kind of unexpected game results, that might already be their way into the next round of SHEB.
Yeah, these are certainly best of ones, and this will basically determine the entire game already. Just working on one barrier here. Dog grabs it from No Panic Button. Cyril, again, looking a little bit weak right now, but not in dire straits just yet. But X looking a little big right now with Size Awakening. Really tough to get it past in these side lane areas. Okay, it's going to be X Maximus here onto Eternal Arctic, but they get hit knocked far enough away, and they do get a counter kill. Counter power play here for No Panic Button. End up getting Nikki Middleton off the map here, though. Sarah works on getting another barrier. Slice and Dice is going to grab the next one. They lose a teammate in return, but keeps themselves in the game with that redirect. And a little bit of help from Andy off that drum is going to keep them in the game, grabbing another point. And again, best of ones, really tough spot, lots of stakes. And yeah, big prize pool here, right? $2,000 in prize pool. So that's just stakes up and up and up. And these players just want to keep winning and keep themselves in this game.
Yeah, most definitely. And you can see that motivation from the side of No Panic Button here as well. They're just running it in. They're trying to get past this Atlas, but the defense holds a bit too strong as now the side of Dogs is back on the attack. Almost gets a second barrier, but great strikes from Andy will hold on to that barrier. A lot of damage coming out, though, from this X-Pick now, as they do need to play a little bit more safe. They do recover most of their HP, but attack still going strong from the side of Dogs here.
Yeah, I mean, Size X just runs in there, spins his head off, and everyone just takes half of their health, and things get so awkward here. You know, we're saying Juno being a menace with a lot of these slimes here, but X also just a menace when it comes to dealing damage and just getting in the way. Still only one barrier down here for No Panic Button. A flip here from Cero. Almost gets the double, but maybe a little bit too projected there. They end up sniffing that one out. Weston gets a flip here over to Nikki. Helps it reinforce it there with another Astral Protection. The flip from Flambeau is going to be good. Good enough to grab that barrier indeed. Okay, almost got a scary situation there with the Expanse. Okay, the projection is also going to make things tough with that hot shot. Hands of Nikki sends it down with that flip, and it's going to be game for Dog to take it over. No Panic Button here in this first round robin pool. Congratulations there to Dog, keeping up that pressure.
Yeah, and a really clean play from Vicky to just finish the game off as well. Realizing she has a flip, realizing she's in a clean 1v1 with an eject button less Juno. So going for a quick self-pass, going into the flip, and just going for that dead angle that isn't necessarily going to be able to be covered by Andy there. Just well executed. Looking at the game, though, we did see, it kind of represents most of what has been happening, right? You see a lot of high damage numbers, specifically coming up for both the brawlers. Zentaro actually having the highest damage in the game, which you wouldn't really be thinking about. It's just that Super Surge that just does so much for that character there. Coming in clutch, but in the end, the KOs weren't really able to be found from the side of No Panic Button. Meanwhile, on the other side, Handless Dogs finding a total of 11 KOs this game and just playing through those power plays really well.
Absolutely. I mean, there aren't too many characters as good as X at confirming kills. I mean, you just pop that X Maximus when they don't have evade, or even if they used it, you know, it's got a 4-second cooldown. And then you're just toast. You're just pretty much toast. And Amy also just really strong. Cyber Swipe sending surprisingly far away. I mean, yeah, they have 11 kills on the board right now. They're looking quite good here. Yeah, it was a tough situation here with Juno no eject button, but I think Andy did a pretty solid job of keeping themselves alive. I mean, you know, you get a little bit of speed from the Momentum Boots, and the slimes get a little bit faster, so it's like, okay, you know, sometimes they can hold like a tight spot or like a side lane or something because they're a little bit faster. But, you know, nothing really says it like eject button Juno, and still a really good showing there from No Panic Button. I mean, you get the name of the team, No Panic Button. What's next? It's Boots. So good work there from Dog to move on to the next round. I guess, actually, yeah, we're gonna end up going to a break, though, to make sure that these next teams are ready to go there, though. And we'll be back in just a few minutes here with the next game.